Good morning. Today we are continuing on with our unit on the inequalities. We are working on CO45. I can use a number line to identify solutions to an inequality. So in our last subjective, we were looking at which inequality symbol are we using? Is it less than, greater than, less than, equal to, greater than, equal to? Now we're going to be putting them on a number line. And we're going to see how that works. So we know how to find the number 4 on the number line. Now we're going to see what it looks like if it's less than 4 or greater than 4 on the number line. So the biggest difference and the one that affects your solution between inequalities and equations is that because an inequality describes a range of solutions, we need to show all the values within that range. So we're not just putting our mark at 4 if it's 4. If it's less than 4, it can be any of those values that are smaller than 4. So we're going to show what that looks like on our number line. So how might we do that with the following inequality statements? So we're going to have our number line. And we see that it's greater than 8. So I'm going to write my number line with the 8 there, so you should be doing the same thing. And we're not just at the 8. We need to show that all the numbers are greater than 8. So if we use an open circle, it means that it can't be that number. So when we look at n is greater than 8, can it be 8? No, it has to be greater than 8. So we're going to put a circle above the 8. And then we're going to put our arrow going to the right because it's all the numbers that are bigger than 8.
Oh, this isn't con.
No, this isn't.
It wasn't con. I gave you a heads up on what we're going to be working on. So this, if you've done your Khan Academy, you have some prior knowledge to this. So it'll make a lot more sense to us. Nolan, did you have a question? 8.5 could work. Could 10 work? Yeah, because it's greater than 8. Could 15 work?
8.5.
Could 100 work?
Yes,
Yeah.
a million.
That's why we have our arrow here. It's pointing to the right because any number that's bigger than 8 will work. We don't have to mark all that. We don't have to make our number line go out to infinity. But that arrow just shows that any number that's bigger than 8 will work. So if that's how we graph n is greater than 8, how should we graph n is greater than or equal to 12? What do you think, Matthew?
I'm gonna put the line down. And then you.
I'm going to put the 12 on there.
12, right? And then you put, instead of a circle for that, you just do a solid dot upon the circle.
So instead of that open circle, you're saying to fill in the circle. Why am I filling in the circle?
I don't particularly know.
What do you notice different about our inequalities?
A line.
It's not, this one is equal to, this one is not equal to. So our closed circle means it can be the number. So if you have a closed circle above it, it means that it's greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. It can be that number. So you fill in that circle because it can be 12. Then which way am I going to point my arrow, Matthew? To the left?
No, right.
Why to the right?
Because the
Greater than?
the greater than is pointing to the end.
So the greater than is saying
So
it's
that-
greater
so-
than
so
n.
the n is bigger than 12.
Yes.
So it would go to the
So
right.
any number that's 12 or greater So here is a trick. But Mr. Schultz says be careful if I teach you this trick, because when you get into pre-algebra next year, they're going to flip things up on you and it might not work. So, listen to what the trick is, and you just have to remember it. If the n is on the left side, you look at your symbol, and that's the direction your arrow is going to point. So n's on the left side, so I see greater than, so my arrow points to the right. So if I see a less than, n is less than 85, when I graph it and I put my 85, if it's less than, it's going to go to the left, so my arrow goes the same direction as my inequality symbol. Am I going to put an open circle or a closed circle for n is less than 85? Aiden H?
Open.
Why open?
Because it can be the number. It cannot be the number.
It can't be 85, so it's an open at the 85 because it can't be 85. So as long as our variable is on the left side of the inequality, you can point your arrow the same direction as the inequality is pointing. When it doesn't work is if we had said 85 is less than n, then we're saying n is bigger than 85. On this page, n always comes first. So if that n comes first, you can make your arrow point the same direction as your inequality symbol, as long as that variable comes first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's a simple little hack for us to use for this objective for right now. But you have to be careful if that variable is on the right side, because we always want to think, what is my inequality telling me? Up here it's saying that n is greater than 85, so my arrow would have to show greater than, going out to the bigger numbers. But for today's purposes, it's going the same direction because our variable is first. Any questions on our graphing of this? Okay, so when we get to the bottom, there are two steps to it. This first section, we are just putting in that graph with our number line. On the bottom, it says write each situation as an inequality statement. So that's what we did in CO44. You have to write the inequality statement, and then you're going to graph it. So we've already done the first part in our last objective. We know how to do that. And now we're going to graph it. So we're doing two steps for these bottom ones. Write your statement and then graph it. So if you need to look back at the table to remind yourself, does that mean less than? Does it mean greater than? Does it mean equal to? You can look back at the table in CO44 at those word choices that we had in there to help you figure it out. James?
So for the test, we would be able to put the symbols and stuff on it,
What do you mean?
like on our help sheet. Can we
Oh, yes. Yes, you can definitely put the symbols and what they mean. You can put the words, that whole table that we had on CO44, you can put that on your help sheet. Definitely. Any other questions? All right, for my friends listening at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.